Hello, neighbors. Here I am in the garage tonight doing an Instagram Live, and I am so excited. I have some special guests here with me tonight. So, I'm meeting with our Orange Police Association. So, I have with us President Officer Yash Patel. Museum. And I also have with us Corporal Ibrahim. And I'm so excited to have them with us here tonight because I know we have a ton of questions. I've had a ton of questions lately with everything going on. And sometimes it's hard for me to get answers as well. And you guys are so great about asking me questions all the time. And I want to get answers to all of it for us. So, what does our police department look like since Measure Z didn't pass? I know we've seen an increase in a lot of different crimes in Orange, as well as our transient population. And so we're going to get into it, all of it. So I have a list of all of the questions that you guys sent me, as well as some of my own. And yeah, I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here tonight.
Of course.
Oh, thank you very much for
Yep.
having us.
So we're excited. So I know there's going to be a lot of you on here because this is important. This is really important for our city. And the number one thing that we've had in all of the strategic planning meetings and everything that happens at the city, everyone's number one concern is always public safety, of course. So are you guys ready to get right into it? Or should I ask you guys maybe a little bit about your history with the Orange Police Department so you guys can get to know some of our officers? So why don't we start? So Officer Patel here, you guys have heard me talk about him a lot because in 2023, he actually gave out the highest number of DUIs in the state of California, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Crazy. So proud of that. So how many DUIs did you give out?
It was 320.
320 DUIs in
Yeah.
Orange. And Corporal, why don't you tell us a little bit about you as well?
Yeah. So I've been with the Orange Police Department approximately 5 years. Currently a field training officer and a corporal on patrol.
Oh, wow. Okay. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to get right into it because we have a ton of questions to get through. So, my first question for you is what types of crime are you seeing increase the most right now in Orange?
Yeah. So right now, a lot of crime in Orange is down, but most recently we've been seeing more of an uptick on commercial burglaries. It's more of like a crime of opportunity. That's why you're seeing like that slight uptick, and especially with the holidays. But overall, crime is down throughout the city of Orange.
Wow, crime is down. Well, that's incredible news. What do you attribute that to?
So there's a variety of different things. There's a lot of variables that do play a factor, especially in 2025, especially with Prop 36 getting passed. That played a huge role in keeping a lot of the criminals in jail and holding them accountable. But there's also some things that we noticed that were affected, right? Especially on the East End, is with ICE and stuff like that. So there's some crimes that are getting unreported because some people might be afraid to call the police.
Wow.
But I want everyone to know that we operate away from ICE, and we're here to help the citizens of Orange.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's, I just have 100 more questions with that. So, on the east side of Orange, because of everything you guys know, we've had a lot of the ICE protests and we've had a lot of sightings of ICE in Orange. It was a really hot topic at city council for quite a few months, and people that have been very upset about that in the city of Orange because 40% of our population in Orange is Latino. And so we saw for a while, like even the manager at Home Depot telling me Home Depot's empty, people aren't shopping, people aren't out. And so do you think that's why the crime decreased, is because people aren't reporting crimes as much, or people are staying home?
So that could be a huge factor of people staying at home. But we believe that there is still going to be crime overall, but it is on the East End, especially you're seeing a decrease in the call volume that's coming in because of some certain neighborhoods are not calling in certain crimes. So we're finding out through different methods. When our officers are doing active patrol, especially on the East End, they're making contact with citizens at local grocery stores or the liquor store, and they're able to have that conversation with them.
Wow.
And I,
That's
I think that also a contributing factor to that is our officers are out there every single day. The culture of the Orange Police Department is proactivity. So we don't like to be reactive. We like to be proactive.
mhm.
Stop the crime before it happens. So um, our guys are out there working every single day. They're making stops. They're contacting people that aren't supposed to be here. They're enforcing laws and crimes. They're out in your neighborhoods patrolling the streets. So they're everywhere. And I know for a fact, 'cause I work alongside these guys every single day in and day out, that these guys are out there. They love their job. They love to put bad people in jail, and they're passionate about their community. So I think that's one of the major contributing factors to a safer Orange.
Oh, absolutely. And do you think so? For example, at city council, they talked a lot about um, the incident that happened out in front of Moreno's. Do you remember when ICE had stopped someone and ICE actually hit a car and then took off and had to circle back? But because there was an accident, Orange police were called. Correct me if I'm wrong on all this. This is just what I'd heard that um, police were called, and so OPD was out there and ICE was out there as well, and so a lot of the citizens thought that our Orange Police Department was helping ICE, but Chief Jevick, addressed this in a city council meeting and said, "No, we are actually here for you, the residents, and if you feel like, there's a situation that isn't being handled properly, you're not sure if you're being detained by the right person, to please call OPD because there will be checks and balances," essentially saying we protect the residents.
Mhm.
Is that all correct?
Yeah, that's all correct. And I want to stress, just like Patel here, Officer Patel stated, is that we're here for the community. We don't care what your race is, ethnicity, what language you speak. We don't care about any of that. We're here to protect the residents, respond to calls for service, no matter what your immigration status is. And we will continue to do that with the utmost respect and service. So, for anybody watching out there, we are here for you guys, and we will do everything we can to provide you with the best customer service that we always provide.
I have heard you guys always say that, like, we're your customers, and I love that, and OPD, our police, I say this all the time, our police are so much different, like, we're not in LA, we're not in Santa Ana, we're not in Anaheim. Our OPD is different, they're incredible. So another question I wanna get into is, are gangs still an issue in Orange? And, have we seen that change over time? I know we did have, I believe it was at least one shooting last year that was gang related.
Correct. So from from October, we've had approximately 5 gang-related shootings.
Wow.
Um, Throughout 2025, gang shootings have been in the double digits. So we do have crimes in gang neighborhoods, graffiti related to gang neighborhoods. So yes, gangs are still a problem. Our city is special. I'll say special in a way where we're in the middle of Orange County, so we've got multiple freeways. We're surrounded by cities like Santa Ana, Garden Grove, Anaheim. All these cities and the gangs in Tustin as well, they spill into our city. So we deal with a lot of rival gang shootings. We deal with gangsters from other cities going in and tagging and putting graffiti representing their gang. So, and we have our own gangs too. So we have a mix of everything. So yes, to answer your question, we definitely do still have a gang problem. Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. I'm getting a lot of messages also from a neighbor over on Collins behind the Albertsons area. She sent me photos of her neighborhood where there was graffiti all over the sidewalks, the brick walls, the sides of the houses. It was absolutely awful. What do you recommend when someone has graffiti like that? How can they report it? What should they do about it? Does the city clean it up? What do we do when that happens?
Yeah. So if they see individuals tagging, obviously give us a call. Sometimes we get calls where the calling party calls OPD and they've observed the crime 5 minutes after it's happened, and then they give us a call. And by the time we get there, they're gone. So if you see it happening, call us right away. That's number one. Number two, if you come out and you see tagging or new tagging that you haven't seen before, also give us a call. We'll come out there, either a police service officer or a police officer will come out and take a report and go through their investigative process. We also have online reporting, and also we do have a graffiti hotline that we can utilize. So there's many options that our citizens can utilize. But like I said, it is extremely crucial that you guys call us when it happens, not 5 minutes after, 10 minutes after, because again, that's a common occurrence. But call us the moment you witness it, and we'll get out there as fast as we can to apprehend the suspect and hopefully take this person to jail. So those are some of the things I recommend.
Awesome. And in order to have the graffiti cleaned up, I've heard this spoken about at city council. Code enforcement was talking about if it's on private property, we need the owner's permission to clean it up, but the city will come and pay to clean up that graffiti with the owner's permission. And that usually happens within 24 to 48 hours.
So I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case, but like I said, the city does in some way or form help out with graffiti removal.
The removal of it. Okay.
And it really comes down to like the principle of the broken window theory, right? Is we want to remove this graffiti as fast as we can and clean up the area, because the longer the graffiti stays there, the more likely it is more crime happening in that area. So I believe that's one of the postures we do take is when we do see crime happening or if we see remnants of crime happening in certain areas, we want to move and quickly fix that area as fast as we can.
Awesome. Okay, next question. So, well, actually on that note, so do we have with OPD, do we have a gang task force? We have a group of officers or sergeants that are dedicated to dealing with all of these gangs?
We do. And we'll touch on it. I know we'll probably touch on it later.
Yeah.
But we do have a gang unit. It's made up of rotator positions as well as full-time detective positions. Extremely crucial to our department. These guys have all the knowledge about the gangs, what the tagging means. They go out there and make enforcements in gang neighborhoods. They're proactive. They seize firearms, narcotics, probation, people on probation, people violate probation. So they're out there the whole time. But again, with our current staffing levels, we have to prioritize patrol. So special assignments like our gang unit will see a reduction of rotators, of officers, because they will have to come out to patrol and handle those calls for service, because that is our priority. So with that, if that does happen, and it's already happening with other special assignments, including our gang unit, we will see an increase of gang violence, just like last week, and more tagging. So it all goes together, it works together. So yes, we do have a gang task force, but like I said, unfortunately, with our current staffing levels, that's going to the amount of people available for that task force is going to decrease because we have to fill patrol.
I know. So let's get into this. I see a lot of questions. You guys have a lot, and I would definitely want to make sure that we're getting to some of these. People are asking, how many homicides did we have last year in 2025? Do you guys happen to know?
I don't know. Offhand, no.
Offhand, we don't.
We do the so Chief Jevick will do the crime report in April, and they'll pull all that data so that we can see the difference between 24 and 25. So I really look forward to that every year because I want to know where we stand. Also, last week we had a shooting on Earlham. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we had we responded lights and sirens to the area of Earlham on the east end of our city. It was essentially a drive-by shooting, gang related. We had a total of 2 victims. One victim sustained injuries to his legs from bullet wounds. And we had another victim that luckily was not injured, but again was targeted. So the investigation is ongoing. The gang unit is involved. Detectives are involved. And everyone's working collaboratively in a collaborative effort to apprehend these individuals. So that was our most recent drive-by gang shooting.
Okay, let's get into, so this time last year, I remember we have vacancies for 167 officers. Well, we had 167 officers this time last year. And I was told that in December, we were down to 124 officers. Is that correct? Or you guys want to touch on that and what the status of our police department is right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the status of the department is we are seeing a reduction in staffing overall. At one point at the peak of Orange PD, we were sitting right around 170, 173 officers. Over the course of the last year, you've seen a sharp decline, and that's kind of started towards the tail end of 2023 when we started seeing that decline in staffing. And at one point or another, we got into the low 120s. So we're sitting around 120, and you got to keep in mind that when we say we have 120 officers, that doesn't mean we have 120 boots on the ground. That's not including any type of injury on duty officers that we have that are out or might be on administrative leave. So the actual boots on the ground is significantly lower.
Do you have a guesstimation for what that is for boots on the ground for officers right now?
Yeah, so we have so like Officer Patel said, around 120 sworn. That includes police officer, detectives, lieutenants, captains.
Dispatch, that include dispatch?
Does
as
not
well?
include dispatch. These
Okay.
are just officers,
Just
sworn officers.
Okay.
Out of the 127, we have 92 police officers. That includes detectives. So police officers and detectives. The remaining amount are a mix of lieutenants, captains, and sergeants.
Okay.
And then in the field by itself, you have about roughly 54 officers patrolling the city.
Wow. So how many officers do we have on at one time?
So it varies. So it really does vary. So during the daytime, like daytime shifts, you'll have roughly about 8 officers. It could ebb and flow between 7 and 9. But you also during daytime, you have to keep in mind you have greater staffing because you have detectives that are working, you have our special investigation unit that's working, and then you also have the motor officers working. During the graveyard shift, you'll also be right around 8 to 9 officers. And then our swing shifts, which is our from 1 p.m. to 1:30 a.m., you're roughly around 3 to 4 officers. And they're kind of just there to hold over between day watch and graveyard going home.
That seems extremely low. I don't know if you guys have any idea what the average for the national average is for police officers per residence. Do you know what that? I remember I looked it up, and I think it was like one officer for every 700 or 800 people in the city. And I thought it was shockingly low. I think this time last year we had talked about it, and there was 10 officers on. So there was I think we had one officer for every 1,500 people, but it sounds like now it's a lot worse than it was before.
Yes, definitely a lot worse. And I want to make it very clear to the people watching. Yes, we have detectives. Yes, we have got motor officers to help out, but the officers that are responding to your calls are the 7 or 8 officers that were out in the field. So when you guys call into dispatch 911, any other call absent of a traffic collision, you have police officers. The 7 or 9 police officers are there available to respond. And again, that number ebbs and flows. So some days we're at 7, depending on staffing levels. Some days we're at 9. So you got to think about, we've got 3 areas in our city. We've got the north, the east, and the west. Each area, there's 3 for the west. Typically now with our staffing levels around 2 for the north, and the north, that's one of our biggest areas, and 2 for the east. So if you live in any one of these areas and you call for help, or you call the police department, that beat officer, that area in that specific beat responds to that call for service. Not a detective, not a motor officer, not the lieutenant. It's our police officers that are out there responding to the calls for service with just 7 or 8 officers to respond. And that's with our current staffing levels right now.
So, we've got all these police officers leaving. Are there reasons? Do we know why they're leaving?
Yeah, so absolutely. So the city also does, like when these officers lateral or they retire, the city does an exit survey, but internally as the union, we also do an exit survey as well. And one of the big 3 things that we noticed early on, before Corporal Ibrahim and I took over for the union, and it was also our goal was focusing on retention. That was one of the reasons why people were leaving is the city was not focusing on retaining police officers or good police officers. The second one was leadership. What does that mean? Is finding a good balance between how we communicate with our top level management and how they're able to support us when we need it and how we're able to support them. So building that good communication barrier between us. And then the third was effective or competitive compensation throughout the county. So one of the big things that we're looking at in 2026 is that there's 22 private agencies that operate within the county of Orange. Overall, for our dispatch, our police officers, all the way up to a captain, we're ranking towards the bottom third. And out of the 22, we're ranking right around 18 to 17. And that's one of the main reasons why people are
For
leaving.
compensation?
For
Yes.
compensation.
So we're not even like average?
We are well below average in the county. And at the end of the day, we're having officers that currently work for us having to move to Menifee, Marietta, Temecula, and commute from there just to afford a house and provide for their families. They're unfortunately, Orange County overall is unaffordable for these officers.
Wow, that's really sad because you guys think about you risk your lives for us, but you can't afford to live with us.
Would you like to hear some staggering numbers?
Yes,
It's-
lay it
it's-
on us. We
it's-
want to hear. Tell
okay,
us all the
so-
things.
From 2024, so after Measure Z was unfortunately did not pass, we've had 20 officers lateral to different departments.
20?
20.
Since, wait, it didn't pass in November?
2024.
In 24. So then it's been a year. So 20.
So, and what's even more staggering is 2020, we've had a total of 40 officers. And do you want me to go through the years of experience that these officers have had?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got a list here, and we'll go over it real quick. So we had one officer. They lateraled over to the Riverside Sheriff's Department, 8 years on. One officer that lateral to Ontario PD had approximately 2 years on. 10 officers lateral to the Anaheim Police Department with an average experience of 6 years.
Wow.
13 officers went to the Sheriff's Department with an average time of 5 years. 4 officers lateral to the Newport Police Department was 7.5 years. 3 officers to the Huntington Police Department they have an average of about 3.5 years. 2 officers to Long Beach, which is very ironic. Normally you see LA people that work in Los Angeles County lateral to Orange County agencies. It was the opposite. They went to the Long Beach Police Department. They had an average of about 2.5 years of experience. And then 2 officers that went to the Orange County District Attorney's Office, average of 18.5 years of experience. Most of these officers were in special assignments like the bike team, motor officers, and detectives. We lost 2 very skilled and experienced detectives. They went to the Newport Police Department. And if you look at the trend with all these agencies, it's the pay. The Orange County Sheriff's Department had recently a very good raise. The Newport Police Department, on average, these guys are making about $10 an hour more than officers here at the Orange Police Department. Huntington Beach, their percentages are very high, so they make that up in their percentages. Long Beach, they're in a good financial position. So these guys are leaving, like Officer Patel said, for there's other factors, but those factors we can control, within the department. But in terms of what we can't control is the pay, because that's at the end of the day, it depends on our contract negotiations with the city, the support of the community, passing the measure. So all those things are external factors that we can help. We can try to help and make it happen, but it relies on other parties. So these guys, like I said, are leaving because, like I said, they're making, they're being way more than what we're making here. So
I saw that bonus too, that $20,000 sign-on bonus for Tustin. They posted it right on their Tustin Police Instagram page. I was like, oh, do you have to make it so obvious, guys, that you're trying to steal our police officers? But then I also heard that they're doing a 19% increase in pay over the next 3 years. It sucks.
40 officers. That's a lot.
40
That's a
officers.
lot. 40 officers.
And
Wow.
you got to keep in mind that 40 officers sounds like a lot, but each of these officers had a specialty assignment within the city of Orange or within the police department. And the training that we put into these and the amount of investment that we put into each of these officers just to simply get them hired on, it's about $167,000 that we're investing. And on top of that, a lot of these officers had specialty roles. Like one of them was a DRE. That takes thousands of dollars to invest into this officer to get them to be a DRE. Another one was part of their SWAT team. It takes
Oh,
thousands of dollars to invest and get them up to a SWAT team. So if you times 42, or the total individuals that lateraled by $167,000, that's millions of dollars that we're hemorrhaging.
$6.5 million. So the 40
what?
officers, you multiply the 40 by the 600 and we said 70 $167,000. That equals to approximately $6.5 million that the department and the city has invested into these officers, so that they can go out and serve our community, your community, and provide you with that customer service that you guys expect. $6.5 million.
And somebody on here just made a comment and they said it sounds like we're just kind of a a training ground.
Oh,
So
that's
that
whoever said that. That's exactly
Dead on. So
dead on.
the biggest slogan in the county of Orange, which also kills our morale and the morale within the PD, is what we're known as is we train the best for the rest.
oh,
That's the slogan that's used. So we train our officers to the utmost. A lot of our officers are hardworking individuals. They want to be trained. They want to be the best performing officers. So that's why when these officers lateral, a lot of their command staff, so like from Newport Beach or from Long Beach, they'll reach back out to us and say, "Thank you. We actually have a very competent officer that's working for us now, and we appreciate all the training that this individual has." And it actually boosts the overall team at that new police department now. So it's one of the big things that does kill our morale with our officers that are here, because that is what we're known as, unfortunately.
And you
say
were
it
right
again,
too,
but yeah.
Brandy. You said at the beginning, we're not Santa Ana, we're not Anaheim, we're not these other agencies. Okay, and I've been in law enforcement. I've worked in the law enforcement realm since 2016, and I can tell you 100% fact that we train our officers to not only meet the expectations of our community but exceed them. So we do investigations
Mm-hmm.
for our citizens and for our communities. We put on the detective hat, we put on the police officer hat, the proactivity hat. We put on multiple hats throughout our shift. When these officers lateral, because it's what's expected here at the Orange Police Department. When these officers lateral, go to other agencies, they don't hold their officers to the standards that we hold our officers. They don't hold officers to the investigations and the depth of the investigations that our officers here do in Orange. So when they lateral from our department with all this training and the mentality and the culture and the desire for investigative work, and they go to a different agency like Anaheim, like Santa Ana, and some of the other agencies, they excel over there. And I mean, on the top of my head, I've got multiple examples of officers that were trained here, lateraled, and are now either in specialty assignments. They're part of some type of organization within the department, detectives. I mean, you name it, and it's because our reputation here in the city of Orange and the Orange Police Department is we maximize every single investigation and we maximize the calls for service that we go on. That's what we're trained to do. That's what our FTOs teach our trainees to do. And that's what the community expects. And we provide that. And when we have these officers leave and go to different agencies and they do the same thing because it's what they were used to with us, they look like rock stars.
Oh,
So seeing them excel and do great, we're happy for them, obviously, but it also hurts us. But more importantly, it hurts everybody out here in the community.
because we lose
We
great
lose great
guys.
guys.
Yeah, the overall you lose not only great individuals, but going over all the experience in the years on. Sure, it's not an extensive amount of years, but just with an average of 6 years or 7 years, those officers are making contacts. They're going to the liquor stores. They're going to the grocery stores. They're contacting residents at their home, and they're making those good contacts. They're supposed to last for that officer's career, but now they're having to unfortunately lateral. So now a new officer's coming in, and they might not have that same type of bond with that community or with that individual. So the service level does kind of decrease in that sense and has to restart.
Another question that just came to mind, are you guys, because we have so few officers, are you guys putting in a lot of overtime right now to compensate for the lack of officers?
We have to. We have to.
Well, think about that, how crazy that what a waste of money that is too for us. If you think about we don't have enough officers, our officers are leaving, we're having to pay the officers that we do have overtime. You guys are having to spend more time away from your families. I mean, that must be really hard on you guys, but then also hard on our city budget that we're having to do that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we run with sometimes 7 to 9 officers. Of course, we do our best to put out overtime, but yeah, we have to pick up the overtime, not just for the calls for service and for the community, but also for the safety of my partners, of the other officers that are out there working hard and running into danger. We need each other. So um we can't go lower than that. We just can't. It's not
No, you
viable.
can't.
So so yes, to answer your question, yes, we are working a lot of overtime. Um so it's not the most ideal situation. But again, to circle back, we wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for,
If your
some of
pay
the
was
things.
greater, it seems like
Exactly.
we'd almost balance out and we'd be making more money if you were getting paid more. People wouldn't feel like they needed to leave, and we wouldn't have to pay all this overtime. Another thing, okay, I see Uncle Daddy on here. He's asking me a lot of times. I see you over there. He's saying, Brandy, what are you going to do to generate revenue and make council better? It's not Amazon. Ask Gillenhammer. And I've seen you ask a few times. And believe you me, I will answer all of those questions for you. But I want to make sure that I keep it about our OPD right now because I got a million questions to get through. But I have a lot of ideas about that. And we know I've been following this for a long time now, and there are a few things that really make me upset about things like this, like when I think about Chapman University and all these other different nonprofits that are not contributing to our public safety like they should be, and it's a drain on the city, and it's put back on the residents, and so yeah, it's really unfortunate, but I won't. I don't want to get into all that because you guys know I will go on an hour-long tangent about that right now. Um, Okay, so another question that I get all the time or that I've been hearing a lot lately is that you guys know I had the guy that was trying to smash my windows at the store the other night and then was throwing glass bottles at cars in the circle. It took a long time for you guys to get there that night, and I was pretty upset. And I'm chasing this guy down the street trying to figure out where he's going because he's trying to smash the windows at the Elks and Renata's and the library. And it took from the time that I finally found you guys, it was probably about 10 minutes and the guy was gone because my husband was yelling at me, telling me I'm not Batman and apparently I can't chase criminals. Um, so one, the response times in the circle, but also when you guys got there, you didn't recognize the guy. And usually, I don't think he was homeless. I think he was probably on drugs. Contra did end up getting their windows smashed, as well as LCB Tracker, and the Elks recently had their windows smashed lately, and then I believe the Ramen Place also had their windows smashed, all within the last like few weeks. Um, and so something that I'm continually being told is that we have a lot of unhoused people recently, or an influx in them, and they're not necessarily our unhoused people that our heart team knows, and that you guys normally know them by name and who they are. But we're seeing an influx in that. And one, is that true? And two, where are they coming from?
Yeah, so for the amount of homeless or unhoused individuals that are coming into our city, overall the quantity has remained the same over the years. Uh, what you're seeing is essentially other people coming from other jurisdictions, and that could be attributed to a variety of different things. One big one, I would say, that if you sit there for about an hour, you would see it on Tustin Street. You have an RTA; it's a Riverside Transit Authority. That's a direct line to Riverside, so you get a lot of people coming from Riverside into Orange County. Another huge draw for our city is that we do have the hub, the OC hub, which is right off the Struck Avenue, right by the police station. They are one of the main providers for housing assistance as well as any type of uh, government assistance to the unhoused. So that does play a huge factor. And then on top of that, you have to keep in mind that we have three major hospitals, one being a trauma center in the city of Orange with UCI, St. Joe's, and Chalk Hospital. So that does play a huge factor is when an unhoused individual has to get transported or request medical attention. we happen to be the closest hospital centers, and they have to get transported to the local hospital center or the closest hospital. That happens to be ours. And then lastly, what we also have is uh, one of the one of the only places in the county is Be Well. It's a psychiatric facility right off of Anita Chapman and 57. They offer psychiatric help also as a sober living facility as well. So this is a huge draw for a lot of unhoused individuals. So you might see a slight uptick, but overall, the numbers show that it's basically been steady over the last 3 to 4 years.
Okay. And so, and I remember it being reported before that we had roughly about 130 unhoused individuals in Orange. Does that sound close to accurate?
That'd be a good question for our homeless outreach team.
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with the exact numbers.
Okay. And are there any so are you missing any resources in Orange? Is there something that we're not providing that we should be providing to help prevent some of this? Like I know in Hart Park is kind of a dangerous place. I've been told by some of the officers, stay at a Hart Park with your kids. And I've been told by people that live right near Hart Park that usually walk the park every day that they're seeing a lot more unhoused people there that they don't recognize. Um, is there something that we're not providing to them? Is there anything that we can do to help with this, in your opinion?
We're doing everything we can as a city to accommodate for the unhoused individuals. Honestly, there's nothing more that we can do. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So it's the same thing with unhoused individuals. We offer them resources, we offer them help, and a lot of the times they don't take it. And being homeless is not a crime. So, uh, with that being said, there's like I said, there's really nothing more that we can do when we've got before our current staffing, we had a fully staffed bike team, and we still have the heart team, but we had all these things in place. We had like a smaller unit that just handled homeless calls. That was, I think, a couple years ago when we had that. Like the mini heart team, we'd call them, but that helped a lot. But yeah, I mean, as citizens, as the city, as a police department, there's so much we can do. And like I said, it's not our crime to be unhoused. And we're still there offering resources and responding to a lot of the crimes that they commit. Just like you said, I mean, they're out there, they're drugged out, they're high, and they're causing havoc in the communities. I know there's a time and place to help them out, or give them money. But in most cases, these guys, they don't want help. We ask them every single time we come into contact. We do our best to provide resources, and we've got resources. I mean, they've got EBT cards. They've got the hub. They've got
Full circle
full
for
circle
clothes.
navig. Yeah, they've got
Homemade.
homeless shelters.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much we can do. And as a police department, our hands are even more tied when it comes to stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, there's really
So we have the
nothing else we can
resources.
do. We
They
have
don't want the
everything.
help.
Yeah, we have a lot of resources.
Yeah, and on top of that, like really, over the last year, our heart team has worked hard and actually sheltered about 200 individuals. That
200?
it's a lot of people.
Wow.
They were busting their behinds off to get these people housed, and they were able to get them housed. Right now, the goal is to make sure they stay housed. But on top of that, when it comes to resources, it really is maybe having more mental health assistance that can be provided to our heart team. Right now, they do have one, what we call them an HLO, that's a homeless liaison officer. They partner with our heart team and get these people housed, and they kind of are essentially like a caseworker for these individuals. They like to follow them along and track where they end up, essentially. So if we had more of those type of individuals or an HLO, that would be beneficial. But if you do have a homeless crime, or if you do see unhoused individuals at Hart Park or any of our parks, please give us a call, because just like Brandy said, if we don't recognize them, we want to make sure that we ID them or identify them. So in the future, if there is an issue or something like that, then we're able to at least verify who it was or kind of track down and investigate towards the suspect.
I will say, and this may not be very PC, but I will say in my experience so far and having the squeeze, Actually, we just had our 9-month anniversary. I can't believe it's been 9 months already. I'm sure I am the number one calling person in the plaza, right? Because we can see everything from our shop. We're kind of really at ground zero there. And in my experience, I've dealt with a lot of violent people. I've had, people screaming at me in my car window while trying to park. I've had the guy trying to smash the windows the other day. I've dealt with a lot of crazy stuff down there. And I've also had a lot of folks that were in the comments and questions asking, what does it look like? I mean, after hearing how many officers we have, this doesn't even seem possible, but it seems like because the Circle is the second largest sales tax generator in the city, um, and there is a lot of weird crime and stuff that goes on there, that most people probably don't hear about. It seems like there should be a dedicated one, our streets need to be clean, absolutely need to be clean, but, we also should have 24-hour policing in that area, even if it was like a bicycle officer, with the amount of stuff that happens down there. I mean, I feel like I call probably once a week. I mean, we had the women, which I do wanna say thank you to you guys out there because of that video and us catching those women that were stealing in our store. Those women were regulars in the Circle, and it was a whole family of them, and, they were doing it with their children, and so because of that video and then KTLA putting it on the news, it really, was a bright light on these types of people that are doing this, like a crime ring in our cities, and I don't know about you guys, I have not seen any of them out there. And since all of this happened, I think that in itself is a win. That's a victory, right? And since I started the app for all the merchants for us to connect in real time with each other, we've had, I think, in the last probably 6 months, about, or maybe no, maybe about 5 months. 5 months ago I started it, but we've had 14 or 15 instances where people were stealing, and thank you, thank you, thank you to you guys. We've caught 12 or 13 of those 15 instances from people stealing in the Circle, which is really insane because I know, if you call Anaheim PD, like the one girl that had stolen from Noname Vintage, she was also stealing the Amazon packages off of people's doorsteps. I had all of you guys were sending me videos. She was stealing all over Anaheim, Fountain Valley, Orange, and Anaheim didn't care. But OPD went after her and found her, and you guys found her within like 24 hours. You guys were sending me messages. She's in front of the Stater brothers, and I am sending that direct to the police as you guys are sending that to me. So I feel like essentially we are the neighborhood watch, right? But it doesn't matter if we're reporting these things. If you guys didn't care, it wouldn't make a difference. It's your follow through that really makes the difference and then sends a message to people that come here, criminals, they're going to try to get away with these things. And we're going to say, you're just not going to do this here. Right.
And that's a testament to what we do at the Orange Police Department. And what you dealt with yesterday was yesterday, right? What you dealt with yesterday or the day before, unfortunately, there's a lot of other people too that are in the same position as you are. And I'm a transparent person, so I'm going to say it the way it is. If we can't retain officers, the 10 minutes that you're talking about is only going to get worse. The response times are only going to increase. Okay.
Yeah.
Every minute that's increased in response time, you feel it. If you're a victim of a crime, you call the police and you need someone here, right away. Every second and every minute counts, number one. And number two is you feel it. You feel every single minute. So if we can't retain our officers and we don't pass the sales tax, and we're unable to fund the police department or public safety in general, the residents of Orange, they are going to feel it. And it's not fair. It's not fair to the residents. It's not fair to the firefighters. It's not fair to the police officers. It's not fair to anybody. So your experience will only magnify if we don't retain our officers. It all correlates back to our retention. The detectives that you're talking about, the ones that found 12 suspects out of, you said 13, right?
Yeah.
12 out of 13, that's unheard of. So the 12 out of 13 suspects, that's a direct correlation with how hard our detectives work. And guess what? As of right now, we're also understaffed. in the detective bureau. We're going to, again, if we continue to lose officers, we will have less detectives to investigate those crimes. And I can promise the citizens of Orange that if we have good leads, we've got good workup, we've done a good investigation, we've got fingerprints, the DNA, whatever the case may be, if we have good leads, we will do everything possible to investigate it. But it's all dependent on staffing levels, and the amount of detectives that we have. We have less detectives, a higher workload. The turnaround time is going to be a lot longer. But again, what's more scarier for me is, if I were an Orange resident, is the response times.
The response
and
time.
and your situation, it was a from what you're telling me, could have turned on you and could have attacked you or harmed you, God forbid. But 10 minutes, that's, like I said, that's going to only increase. And I promise you that too, is if we can respond to a call like that, we will. But I know for a fact that staffing levels contribute to these response times, and they're directly correlated with it.
That's exactly what he said. As soon as he showed up, he's like, "I'm so sorry, Brandy. I was here. I needed to wait for backup," because the guy was violent. And it wasn't just violent towards me. I was staying back away from him, but he was in front of the city bank, going to the trash can, grabbing glass bottles, which what glass bottles are doing in there? I have no idea where people are getting glass bottles from, but he was taking glass bottles and chucking them at cars in the circle. And there it's 6 o'clock, right? It's like it's it's the evening time. It's not even late at night, and there are families walking right by him with strollers. And what was really odd to me is, I know you hear OPD preach this all the time. I say it all the time. If you see something, say something, right? But you have all these people around this guy that's clearly going crazy, and it's like we're just so accustomed to, like, oh, the police aren't going to do anything. There's no point in me calling. And everybody's just, kind of, oh, look the other way, push my stroller over here and just try to steer clear. But nobody's calling the police.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was running in the circle with the cars. But I mean, he was crazy. It was really nuts. I had a friend call me. So you guys didn't get him. We lost him. Then at 11:30 that night, my friend just happened to be driving through the circle and sent me a text. Hey, what did the guy look like that tried to throw something at the shop earlier? Did he have glasses? I said, yeah, he did. And he's like, he's outside of your shop right now. He's kicking the wall with bare feet at 11:30 at night. Right. So, of course, I'm calling OPD again. I'm out in my car, headed out there because I don't want our store to get smashed. But you guys were there right away.
Yeah, it all depends on, like I said, what's going on in the city.
Yeah.
And I can speak on both of us, and all the officers that are working. It's frustrating when we call it when the city kind of blows up, and when we refer to that, we refer to just calls coming in. And our dispatch, they broadcast it over the radio. So say all of our officers on different calls, handling different calls. We don't have officers that are available to respond to calls. Dispatch will start broadcasting on our radio, holding a suspicious subject, trying to pull on door handles, holding a battery that just occurred, and it continues. And we're listening to this, and we signed up to be that guardian for victims and help the people that can't help themselves. That's what we do this job for. We're passionate about that. So when we hear all these calls holding and these people getting victimized, and we can't do anything about it because we're busy with other calls that we're attending to, it's frustrating. And that affects the citizens, and it affects our morale too, because again, I don't want to say we feel worthless, but we feel like we're not doing our jobs to the best that we can, or the best of our ability. So it's frustrating and there's an element to the stress as well when you're hearing all these calls coming in that are holding, and the board is stacking up, the screen is stacking up, and you can't respond to them. You feel helpless. So, and I know some officers, like I said, that are so passionate about getting these calls that they'll sometimes leave the call and dispatch themselves, putting themselves at risk to take care of that calls for service and going by themselves. So like I said, it's frustrating. It's definitely it kills morale for the officers, and it also directly affects our citizens.
Yeah, and like the other thing is, like, our dispatch does a tremendous job in bringing in all these calls that are coming in, because sometimes, like Officer or Corporal Ibrahim said, is that they sometimes blow up. It blows up. There's just multiple calls coming in. You could even hear it when they're dispatching. You could hear the phone ringing in the background. but they have a tough job where they have to prioritize which calls our officers are going to go to first. So in certain cases where if there's a life or death situation, that's going to be a priority one where officers are going to go lights and sirens to that call. And some calls require more than 2 officers to respond. So you're going to deplete resources rather quickly. And then sometimes once the scene stabilizes, you'll see officers break off and start self-assigning or talking to their partners saying, hey, let's go clear this call. Let's go contact these individuals. But one thing that's very important is even when there's more calls coming in or a lot of calls coming in, our officers are not skipping steps. They're still doing the full investigation and continuing to provide that customer service to each individual that calls the police and making sure that our victims are taken care of.
You guys, okay, so I've got to say this. So we got to talk about this budget, which this might upset a lot of people actually, but I watched city council meetings like a hawk and talked with all of our city leaders when all of this was happening. I followed every single bit of it with Measure Z. How frustrating that was to watch the city hire a consultant to come up with a strategic plan, have the guy come to the city council meeting and say, tell the city council, if you try to pass a sales tax measure at 0.5%, it will likely fail. It's more likely to pass at 0.75%, but your best chances are to put a 1% on the ballot. And the 1% should go to public safety. Then you saw our city council go back and forth for 6 months about it. None of them had the cojones, pardon my French, for the most part, to really step up and say, we're going to do this. And I really remember when Dan was up there and looking at the rest of the city council members, and he said, come on, guys, it's for Orange. And it seemed like everybody, or a lot of the people up there, were worried about furthering their political careers, whether they want to be mayor down the line or senator or whatever they want to do. But people didn't even want to give the residents the opportunity to vote on it. And it isn't up to them. It's up to us. They are us. It's not their opinion. It's our opinion that they need to represent, which really upsets me because I don't feel like that's always happening. And then we saw Wilson Automotive get involved, and Wilson Automotive spend a ton of money. Why didn't Wilson Automotive just donate the dang money to the police department, right? It's like, why are you fighting against us being able to help public safety and giving our city what it needs? I'm driving down Cambridge on my way back from the shop every day, and I see we have 500 potholes. We have light fixtures that are 30 years old that we may not be able to get parts for. We have a ton of issues. We have a city that is, it needs help. Infrastructure. We want city services. We want all of our beautiful things. The city, you've watched the mismanagement of so many things to the point where the residents don't trust the system itself to give it any money. So now we've watched city council create an investment committee, an audit committee, an advisory committee. We have systems in place, which we never had before. Like, hey, there's an alarm is going to go off if we start spending too much money or money that we don't have. There's now a system in place to say you don't have any money for that. You literally get that on your phone with Chase Bank. How could our city not have those systems in place already? Right? It's like we've just been living in the Stone Age. So I have a lot of hope for our new city manager, but more importantly, what I'm wondering is, what is this year? What is 2026 going to look like for us this year and what we're going to do? And I really hope I don't want to spend, another 100 hours of my life in city council chambers and watch the city council go back and forth and him and haw with each other of, well, I'm not voting for a tax. Well, I'm not going to put it on the ballot. Like, I've spent so much of my life watching them go back and forth about that. And really, it's not their decision, right? Like, if the number one goal for a city of Orange is public safety, one, they need to go after Chapman. I watched them say in the middle of a city council meeting at 2 a.m. that they would not give Chapman a $99 student safety fee, right? That Chapman wasn't going to pay. The students were going to pay it. Like, we need a plan. Where are we headed? We're looking to our city leaders to do this for us. And right now, I don't have a lot of faith. And of course, I'll always keep you guys updated on what happens at city council meetings, but they need to get together and have an organized plan on how they're going to protect us and our services and our resources. And if we don't have the means to do that, then we need a plan B, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, like I told you earlier, I'm very transparent. I could get in trouble for probably for saying this, but the city council, we speak to them we talk to them on a daily basis. We meet with them, we talk to them. The ball is in their court. So they are indecisive and the ball's in their court. They need to pass the sales tax, put it on the ballot for the people that they represent to vote on it. I'm going to say just how it is. I'm going to be completely honest. I know they're watching. I know we have city council members that are watching, and this is a direct reminder that they need to pass the sales tax. Let the people decide what they want. So at the end of the day, they're the ones that are being affected by this.
Yeah.
Everything revolves around public safety, property values, cost of living, your happiness,
The quality of
the
life
quality
in
of
the
life
city of
is
Orange.
it all revolves around public safety. And by not putting it on the ballot or being indecisive, you're playing with the lives of your citizens, with the police department, with the fire department. I mean, you're affecting a lot of people. So my message to them, if they're watching this, which I know they are, is make a freaking decision for
Come together
for the
collectively.
citizens,
Yeah.
for the police department, for public safety, who you guys say is your top priority. Get together and put this on the ballot. Let your citizens decide whether or not they want to push it through.
And my message for Dave Wilson is please don't get involved and please don't slander our city council members again and our police department and everybody else. Like, let the citizens really decide. And we also need, so we are now doing a quarterly budget report. When you hear city council, it's so confusing, even to me. 1 minute we're financially stable. Just because we're financially stable doesn't mean we have any money to do anything, right? We're just not going to declare bankruptcy tomorrow. But we need a clear plan of how we're going to move going forward and what does our budget actually look like. We want to make it clear. Bring back the seminars. When they were trying to do Measure Z, they had those educational presentations. Invite the community out and give us a real breakdown. Let's get into our budget and get into the nitty gritty. We all want to see it, right? I watch it at city council all the time. I watch everything and it's still confusing, right? It's a mixed message all the time. We don't know if we're coming or going, but I know what the state of our city looks like. I know what the state of our police department is right now. And I know that nobody in our city is making average wage at all. We're at the bottom, not just for you guys, but for fire, for public works, for everything. So
Yeah, so like you really hit the nail on the head, Brandy. Like when it comes to the sales tax, all we're asking is to give it to the voters, right? You mentioned potholes, roadways, graffiti, abatement, and stuff like that. That all takes money at the end of the day, right? And our job is to keep the public safe. And the best way we could do that is one, having adequate staffing levels, having a bolstered detective bureau, our traffic unit. One of the biggest complaints that we receive is traffic in the city of Orange. That includes parking issues and whatnot. So if we don't have the funds to adequately staff those sectors within our organization, we're gonna have a difficult time actually enforcing the law and providing that high quality of customer service. And eventually it's going to trickle down to a quality of life or quality of service issue, right? One of the big staggering things that we do for Ibrahim and I, we operate on stats when we do any type of union business or when we work with our members. One of the things that we asked recently to our members was, how many of you would lateral or leave this agency if a sales tax is not passed or is not presented to the voters in 2026? And do you recall the number?
I don't recall now.
No? So it was just about right around 45% of our sworn staff. So that's a significant number of officers you're looking at
45% said they would leave.
They would leave.
Yes.
Does our city council know this? Are you guys watching this?
So if you do the math, right, we talked about how many officers we had lateral, and that was roughly around $6.6 million. If you have 100 officers are staffing on patrol or in line level position, and you lose 45% of that, that's still about $6.6 million that you're losing. So when you're talking about hemorrhaging money, you're hemorrhaging money, and you're going to continue to hemorrhage money until you fix the leak that you have. and that is providing the compensation and the adequate structure that the city needs. And that's not only just what the police department itself, but it's throughout the entirety of the city, providing fire with adequate staffing with their 4-man rigs, and that overall will increase the quality of life with the citizens of Orange.
I just want to make it very clear, because again, I know city council is watching this. Make it very clear that if the sales tax does not pass, officers will leave. As of right now, we have a pause right now, and that pause is mainly because we have a new chief who's working hard and relentless to fix the internal problems that we have within our police department. That's something we can control. But again, like he said, 45% of our officers are just waiting, watching what city council is going to do. They're watching to see if they're going to put that ballot on the measure. We hear it, and I'm not joking. We hear it day in and day out. Officers asking us, "Hey, what's going on with the sales tax? Hey, what are you guys doing to help pass the sales tax? What is city council doing?" Or, "Hey, I just watched the city council meeting." They watch it, by the way. They watch it, and hey, like this is it doesn't seem like they're on board. So they're watching every single step that the city council members are making. And if you guys can't make a decision, and we don't get this sales tax passed, we are going to have more officers leave, much more officers leave. And like I said, we operate on stats. 45%, that's an astronomical number. So I want to make it very clear for every single city council member watching, for everybody watching, their residents, for everyone that's tuned in, this needs to go on the ballot and put it in the hands of our residents who are the most affected by this.
I want to address a couple of things everyone's saying. So there's some important things on here. We've got one. So in regards to the fire department, it says contract with Orange County Fire Authority and give the cops give the money the city would, or the money that they would save from switching to OCFA. So I've had a lot of conversations about this, including with our new city manager, Jared Hildenbrand, and he said he would never switch to OCFA. City of Irvine, I've heard, is actually trying to get away from OCFA because it's extremely costly. So when you sign on, of course you have a discounted rate, but then those costs greatly escalate. They own your fire stations, I believe, as well. So that's something that we would absolutely never want to do. And when a firefighter shows up at my house, I want to know who that firefighter is and see that he's invested in Orange. We are so privileged to be able to have our own Orange Fire Department. Another thing, another question on here, a lot about economic development. I spoke with our city manager about that as well. We have so many exciting things coming down the pipeline that I can't even tell you guys about. But I promise you that they are diligently working on that. The problem is it cannot happen fast enough. So they're even changing things within, the building department and planning department, as far as being able to greenlight some of these projects. It will take 5 to 10 years. We want these huge businesses to come into Orange. It will take a long time still, just with them having to build everything out. Restaurants now, you can go and they will streamline the process for you to get your alcohol license, which, in the past, it's been difficult to get an alcohol license in Orange and it's been very expensive. A lot of people feel like we have too many bars already. That's why we have so many DUIs and other issues. But we've streamlined that process now so that restaurants, even if they just were able to have beer and wine before, they can now get their alcohol license. So they're hoping that will also attract businesses to Orange. We are rolling out the red carpet for businesses to come to Orange. We are changing the old Orange way where it was extremely difficult to do business here. They've changed DRC, so the Design Review Committee. Historically, businesses would say, we don't want to come to Orange. You have 2 planning commissions. We have to go through DRC and then we have to go through planning. So DRC now will be focusing on our historic district, but they will not be, they won't have to go through DRC if it's a regular business and it's not on a historic property. So we're doing things as fast as we can, but all of these things, it's going to take 5 years for us to have these big businesses in Orange. And what does the state of our city look like until that happens? I also saw in here that somebody said that there were a bunch of other cities that had put sales tax measures on the ballot. And they all passed, but ours. But what was also interesting about that is that they passed a 1% in Buena Park. Even though Buena Park has Knott's Berry Farm, you'd think they'd be doing great. But they passed a 1% in Buena Park, and Dave Wilson also owns car dealerships there, and he didn't fight it, but he did fight it in Orange. So that was very unfortunate, and he spent a lot of money to do that, and still didn't pass by only 400 votes. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm nervous to see what happens, but 2026 is going to be a very busy year, especially for me too, because I'll be running for city council and fighting for all of this for all of us, because this is what matters most and is most important to me in this city. I started this because of crime in my neighborhood. And I have babies, so I will always fight for public safety. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to answer some more of your questions on here. Let's see. Oh, everybody's asking, is it a Costco? Is it a Costco? I can't say a word, right? A person of my word. I'm sworn to secrecy, so I can't say, but as soon as I can say what's coming, you guys will know. And it's a lot of things that we're all going to be really excited about. It's just going to take time. Council is 5 years behind. Our city council is 20 years behind. The city of Orange is 20 years behind. When you look at all the things that we do not have in place, that we should have always had in place, it's astonishing. And the other thing I will say, that if we do put a sales tax measure on the ballot, that sales tax measure needs to come with an oversight committee, right? We need to have residents and people involved. We need full transparency. We need to know absolutely where that money is going. Okay, let's see. What else? I'm going to answer some more of your guys' questions on here to make sure that we're hearing everyone. I know we're covering a lot of stuff here, and there are okay. So other questions I wanted to ask you guys. Are there certain areas in the city that are more dangerous than others?
So not necessarily, right? One of our more active areas tends to be our west end of the city because you have a lot of infrastructure out there. You have a lot of businesses like the outlets of Orange. So you do have more tendencies of running into transients and more higher crimes, or more priority crimes happening on the west end of the city. But that's not to say that the north end of the city does not have crime, right? One recent trend that we did see spike towards especially the holiday season on the north end of the city is in the residential tracts. There's a lot of residential burglaries.
Oh,
So you do see a spike like that happening, um, and that's not uncommon, right? It's Anaheim Hills has similar residential burglaries, and it's targeted by specific crews because of the green belts that are there. So it's some stuff like that you are seeing, and then on the east end, you do see some of that type of residential burglaries, but you could also see a little bit slightly more gang violence. So I would say overall, the city is pretty well divided. And each sector has their own type of calls they are responding to.
interesting. Okay, I want to. Oh, I hear this all the time. Hand out tickets, right? Hand out parking tickets. That would solve the city's budget deficit issue. So does OPD ticket, so for the permitted areas, and then how about the areas in like throughout the plaza where you see like 2 to 4 hour parking, 3 to 4 hour parking, and then we have a lot of residential neighborhoods that also have permit parking. Are you guys, with the shortage of officers, are you guys able to enforce any of that?
I mean, it's the calls are going through, they're on the board, but I mean, from my personal experience, I mean, it could take anywhere between, I mean, depending on how busy we are, because they are low priority calls. I mean, I've seen it hold for up to 2 hours, 3 hours. And that's just because I mean, like a graveyard shift at night. I mean, on a Saturday night or over the weekend or even during the week. I mean, we're responding to, I mean, parking, it's a nuisance for the community. But we get, like I said, we get a lot of calls that are incoming. We have to prioritize those calls, and those can hold for 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours. So they're there. We do respond to them, but again, it all depends on our how busy we are throughout the city and the calls for service that are coming in. But like with everything else, if we don't retain people, that's only going to increase.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and like one of the bigger things also when it comes to like parking control, right? Like Corporal Ibrahim kind of touched on, is we have a limited amount of resources. And one of the big things for us is we posture ourselves, especially in the county, as being a highly proactive agency. So our officers, we'd rather, instead of having them go out and do proactive parking enforcement, we'd rather have them go out and do proactive criminal enforcement to prevent crime from happening. We do have parking control officers within the city of Orange. However, they work primarily during the daytime. So when you do call, and please call if you do have parking complaints, we will dispatch an officer out when we have adequate staffing or when they're available. But it really does come down to the staffing levels and then also the priority it falls on.
Another question on here. So code enforcement, a white car that follows a street sweeper, is not possible for other things. So we actually hired that company to come out and do that because we could not retain people to do in parking enforcement. And so for a long time, that was the thing that I would hear all the time. And it was a big pain point for our mayor. I know he was say, I just want to see the street sweeper, have the ticket guy following the street sweeper. So we hired this third party company to do this. But the issue is, and I remember this company, I forget the name of the company that we hired, and I believe we have, they're running 5 routes a day. We have 5 of them. It took them a long time to get up and going. I think from the time that we hired them, it was like May, and then by the time they got going, it was December. It took a long time. And city council directed city staff and said, after we get, street sweeping under control, we would like to add more enforcement officers for the parking. And that's never happened. Right?
Yeah, that's completely accurate. We have not
Mhm.
seen the other side of that is also we're not able to retain parking control officers. We do try to hire uh, a lot of parking control officers, right? But we do have to budget internally. And right now, the staffing or the shortage that we focus on is police officers. That's what the
When
citizens
you're
require.
17 out of 22 agencies pay wise in the county, what is there to be expected? We're going to have a hard time retaining people. You're 17 out of 22 agencies
Wow.
for a city of our size as well, and the full service like you talked about that we provide, the fire department, the Orange Police Department, and the level of investigations, the customer service that we provide. We're in 17th place. Agencies that are higher paying than us, higher paying than us, they're doing less work. Their standard is a lot lower than what we have for our police department, and they're making exponentially amount more. So 17, let that
Aren't we
ring.
the 6th largest city city in the
Correct.
county?
Yep.
Wow.
149,000 residents, approximately 27 square miles, a sphere of influence of 50 square
27
miles.
square miles.
Correct.
Okay, another person saying on here, we need fewer permit-only streets away from the circle. I understand by the circle with the amount of businesses, but in residential areas, people should not be punished for not owning a home. Okay, this is a crazy thing going on in the state of California. I don't know if you guys have been following this, but it's SB 9 and SB 79. So with SB 9 being passed, which I'm really nervous about the house across the street from me. I wanted to buy it for my Nana. I begged my mom. I said, let's buy this house for Nana. She can live across the street from me because I was so worried an investor was going to buy this house. So with SB 9, you can knock down a house, you can parcel out the land, and they could build, depending on the square footage of the land, you could build 4 houses on that one lot. And the state of California does not require parking. So what happens is in Orange, especially because we have Chapman, you have these investors coming in, buying a house even and subdividing the rooms. We've all seen this, subdividing, a house and creating 10 mini apartments within one house. And the next thing you know, you've got 10 cars in a neighborhood. With SB 79, you can, as long as you're within half a mile of a bus station, I think you can actually build an apartment in your front yard at this point. You can build one in your backyard. It's a huge problem. Parking is going to continue to be a huge problem, and we don't really have a transit system to even if we all decided to stop driving cars. What do you do in Southern California, right? What are we all taking Ubers everywhere? It's not like we don't have a metro, we don't have a bar, we have the train station, but it's only going to get you so far. So parking will always continue to be an issue. That's why city council has been allowing more permit parking in these different streets because it's been a big issue. people that own their homes or don't own their homes. Nobody has a place to park, but these investors keep building and building in these areas where they can't support that many people. Um, anyway, I know that's a long-winded answer that has nothing to do with police, but that's the answer to your question. So actually, on that topic, it's this one senator. Actually, his name is Scott Wiener. Of course, it is. Up in San Francisco, and he's the one that is pushing all this stuff. Newsom signing it all, but none of this is low-income housing. I will say it's all just housing. So it's all a lot of investment properties that are all really going to affect us. So we'll just continue to see that get worse, unfortunately. Um, anyway, okay, OCTA buses. Okay, let's see. Anyway, okay, so you guys have answered so many of my questions that I'd had on here already. One thing I want to ask you guys, is there anything we can do besides the sales tax? Is there anything that we can do now to support you?
I think that one of the reasons why I chose this agency is because the city of Orange and the residents of Orange were known for supporting their police department. God honest truth, I could have picked other agencies. I chose this agency because I had someone tell me, an officer tell me, hey, yeah, this is a great city to work for because the residents of Orange support the police department.
Oh, that's awesome.
You guys, the residents, for everyone watching, you guys don't understand how that impacts our officers. It allows us to do our jobs. It allows us to make this community safer. And it's all because of your support. So all that we ask is for your continuous support through these times, through the climate revolving around law enforcement, through the sales tax. And when you see an officer out in the street, it takes a couple seconds to go up and say, hey, I appreciate what you guys do. It means a lot to us. But this city, like I said, is still known for supporting their police department. That in itself is a advertising tool, and it makes people want to work for the Orange Police Department. So a lot of these guys that lateraled from the LA agencies, or they've asked us, they ask me, hey, should I work for the Orange Police Department? Yes, because the residents, they support our police department, and that means more than than you guys understand. So your support and your continuous support is really all that we ask for in these challenging times, and the challenging times that we're going through as a public safety unit, OFD, and the Orange Police Department. So Orange, like I said, let's continue that and still make Orange, the Orange residents, the reputation of supporting their police department, because it's well known throughout the county. I talked to other officers from different departments throughout Orange County, and they say, yeah, but your citizens support you guys. Like, that's awesome. You go to Santa Ana Police, you go to Anaheim, you go to some of these other agencies, and I feel bad because every time I go out on patrol and I have people come up to say, hey, thank you for what you do, or you get to see the happiness on their faces. They're waving, the kids are waving. You're driving through the neighborhoods and there's a little kid, the mom is telling the kid, hey, wave at the police officer. So all these little things add up, and it makes us want to go out there and work even harder. It motivates us to go out there and work harder because we are passionate about protecting the people that we serve and that supports us as well. So I would say the biggest thing is continue to support us. So that would be my biggest request, because like I said, I came and worked for this agency. And one of the biggest reasons, because at that time I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about anything. I cared about being a police officer serving my community. And when I found out that Orange supported the police department, that was it. I applied, and I'm honored now to be a police officer for the city of Orange. So, and that's, part of it was because of our community. So
we're honored to have you.
And
Thank you.
We're both honored to work for this agency. So, yeah, just your continuous support through these times is what I ask.
Yeah, truly. Like, at the end of the day, a lot of our officers, a simple thank you or God bless you goes a long way. A lot of our officers, they respond to horrific scenes and incidents. There was one officer, a very good example of this is an officer, while on training, he responded to the Tustin and Glassell traffic collision, where unfortunately there were some fatalities in that situation, right? that was a distraught officer, as you could imagine, being a young officer and having to see this scene, but still being able to work through it. A simple thank you or a simple God bless you, it goes a long way, and it kind of calms that officer down and lets them move on and kind of heal.
Was that are you talking about on a was it on Tustin and Collins with the mom with the DUI driver?
It was on Glasell and Taft into
Oh,
the
Glasell and
railroad
Taft.
crossing.
That's the
Oh.
one where their skin melted into the
Oh god, don't tell us, don't tell us. We don't wanna know.
yeah.
Like, I don't wanna know.
But these are traumatizing events that
Oh,
we
it's
deal with
traumatizing.
on a
Yeah.
daily basis, on a weekly basis. I mean, this is I don't want to say for us it happens so often that it becomes normal, but I hate to say it numbs you. You're numb to it. So sometimes when you have somebody come up to you and just talk to you, like when they come up to us and have citizens come up to you and just strike a conversation with them, it kind of takes you out of that element, and it gives you more faith in humanity,
and what
yeah,
you're
into
doing it
exactly.
for.
So like
Yeah.
I said, like the support from the community is the number one thing that we ask for through these times.
Well, you
So
got it, you guys. We love our OPD. I wish you guys could see these comments. Everybody on here, we know we really stand strong with you guys. We really value everything that you do for us, and we realize how different you guys are. And it's a mutual thing, right? We're your customers. We support you all the way. I mean, name another city where that happens. I can't name one. Um, okay, last question that I have, because I think this is important because I get this, I get asked this all the time, is what can residents do to keep their neighborhoods safer? So I know, are we still doing neighborhood watches? That was a free thing that we were doing as a community outreach. I don't know if we still have folks in place for that, to be able to go out and do those for free, but that was extremely effective for me and my neighborhood when we had, 80 neighbors come out to the neighborhood watch. Before I started There's No Place Like Orange, the reason I started There's No Place Like Orange, but it helped me to get to know all of my neighbors, and we really keep an eye on us now, and we can definitely see a decrease in our neighborhood from crime because we watch each other. So is that something you guys are still doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have a crime prevention unit, and their sole job is to actually engage with our communities and our residents and our businesses. So if you do reach out to our crime prevention unit, they'll actually send a officer out, and they would go over the entire property and go over the plans and give you recommendations on what security systems to install, what security agencies to contact, as well as surveillance cameras to install in your property, so that they go into a very in-depth look in your property. Another thing that we also recommend and ask essentially residents to reach out to their HOAs and then kind of implore is something called flock safety. It's
Oh.
basically camera systems that allow law enforcement officers to investigate crimes as they're developing and as they're happening. For example, recently, if we have a stolen vehicle that's gets taken from someone's residence, we're able to utilize these cameras to quickly locate these vehicles and track the suspect down. So we have seen great success, and a lot of surrounding cities around us have adopted an ordinance that forces business to do that. We're asking our residents to reach out to your HOAs, and if you guys could do that, it would help police officers investigate the crimes and also reduce the crimes that are happening.
Actually, I remember when, we needed these flock cameras, and that's originally when they were forming the police foundation. I know Chief Adams, our previous chief, was wanting to, um, uh, take up funds and donations to be able to buy the flock cameras, and the state of California came in and gave us a grant. I think the cameras cost, or it was, I think we got about 40 cameras, and they cost the total to implement the whole program was like $470,000. And what the camera does is it reads the license plates of cars. So California gave it to all of our surrounding cities as well. So we've had crimes happen here in Orange, and we've been able to track that car all the way to their garage in Costa Mesa, for example. So this camera is something that you can purchase if you wanted to have a flock camera in your neighborhood that the police had access to at all times. So not like a Ring camera, a Nest camera, but I think about this on Cambridge all the time because, it's kind of a crazy street over here. But the having neighbors all invest into doesn't need to necessarily be an HOA. So I haven't had a chance to do this, but I wanted to look into the cost of installing a flock camera that OPD would then have access to that would help protect our neighborhood. So I'll make a video about this because I think this would be really cool. The more of these cameras that we have, the better, and especially in some of our areas where we have high crime. So I'll get you guys more information about that. Let's see. What else do we got on here? Oh, the hit and run with your truck. Oh, okay. I'm sure they're on it. Okay. Last question for you, because I know this is very, very long on here. Oh, what gives you guys hope right now? What do you have hope will happen?
I think the biggest hope that we have right now is that city council will get their ducks in a row, and they have 6 months to get a sales tax on the ballot. And we're hoping that they're able to get that on the ballot. Because without that, it's going to be a different Orange PD, and you're going to have a different police department, a different workforce. Right now, we're seeing a slight increase in call times, right? But it's very minor, the call times that we're seeing. But if the sales tax does not pass, you're going to see a full reduction in the services that we offer as a police agency. And you could see that if you look at local agencies or surrounding agencies. When you call 911 for a minor fender bender, the Orange PD still responds out there and takes a report or assists you in exchanging the information. If you go to surrounding agencies, they will not send an officer. They will just tell you over the phone, exchange information, and move off to the side of the road. So you will see a significant reduction in the amount of services that we provide if we can't get a sales tax passed and retain officers, and not only retain officers, but retaining good officers. Right? There's a huge difference between the investment that we place in our officers. We dedicate a significant amount of time, and when they go through the field training program, if they're not slated to make it, we cut them from the program because we need a specific officer to serve our community and make sure that they are providing high quality customer service to each citizen that they respond to. So you are going to see a reduction if we can't retain these officers.
Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. And somebody on here is saying, Brandy for city council. Thank you. I agree. I'm going to work hard to get up there. Pray for me, guys, because I know it's going to be a lot. I got a lot of work ahead of me, but I'm excited about it, and definitely no stranger to hard work. And what else do we got on here? Do you want to scroll up a little bit and just see what about heart attacks? That's a fire question. I think so many questions. If you guys have more questions that you need answers to, of course, I'm going to post this whole video so that we have this for you guys to go ahead and watch back. If you have any more questions, I'll put detailed information for a lot of things that we discuss, like the flock cameras, what to do if you see graffiti. I'll put that information in the comments. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming on here and for caring. And thank you guys so much for protecting us and hanging in there with the city of Orange and trying to do the right thing. And sorry, we don't pay you enough. sorry about that, guys.
It's like I said, it's an honor to be here and be able to communicate with everybody and spread the message and give, I think, very productive insight on what's actually going on, so that the people and the citizens can see this is what's happening within the city of Orange, and this is and what could happen if a city council doesn't put this on the ballot. Because like I said, when you asked Officer Patel about his hope, my hope is I have faith in the citizens of our community that they will pass it and that they'll vote for it. But again, that's not possible without the city council putting on the ballot. So that's our hope. That's not just my hope. That's all the officers that are working on the streets right now, all the officers that are watching this, all the officers that are working for our police department. With 45% that we just talked about earlier, their hope is if their faith in the citizens that they're going to pass this. We cannot do it without city council going on board and pushing this through. So I'm not the only person clinching onto this hope, but the 127 officers that are out there, or dispatchers or civilian staff, they're all watching, and they're also clinched onto this hope that we are going to get the sales tax passed. But we can't do it without the citizens, which I have faith in, and more importantly, the city council. If they don't put on the ballot, you're going to see a reduction in services and an orange that you've never seen before.
Yeah. Ay. Okay. Yeah, we need to help each other. I agree. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and let these guys get. This is their off time, so I'm gonna let them get home. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and yeah, see you guys all around the town. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you
good
so
night.
much.